Today's session is intended for our supplier users who want to learn a little bit more about the Avetta Connect platform. We're going to be talking about the basic navigation and functionality that are available within the platform itself, and just try and get you acclimated and get your feet wet a little bit in the platform. Also intended to answer any questions that you might already have if you've already played with the system a little bit. Now, as you see on my screen right now, I am logged into an Avetta account. The URL, if you have not already accessed your account, is app.avetta.com. You can disregard the TRN. It's because I'm in a demo environment. That's why we have that beginning portion. You will just use the app.avetta.com. Once you get logged in, it should take you to your home page. This is the page that I'm seeing here. It's highlighted in blue in the left-hand menu, and that's because that's what I'm looking at right now. Generally speaking, this will always be your landing page. There are certain instances where it may take you to another page, which is called My Profile. It looks something like this. So if you're seeing this when you get logged in, that simply means you haven't completed your profile yet. I would highly recommend you completing it. We'll talk about the importance of that a little bit later. But generally speaking, this is going to help you with not only working with your current clients, but also finding new potential clients, which means new potential work and revenue for your company. But we're going to work on a homepage. We're going to work our way down this left-hand navigation menu on this side right here. We will then, at the end, talk about our avatar icon with My Profile, billing info, and I will actually save the support icon for very last. Now, the homepage, as I mentioned, is going to be your landing page. Generally speaking, this is kind of like a dashboard for you. So you get logged in, you can get a really nice overview of where you are standing within your account itself. Within the homepage, on the top left, probably the most notable thing that you see when you get logged in is what we refer to as the compliance wheel. The compliance wheel at the center has the number of connections that you have. And then the compliance wheel itself is a pie graph, essentially. That pie graph breaks down the number of connections that you have in each respective status. Status is being indicated here on the right in the legend. That way, again, this is an overview. This is a dashboard. So you can see overall how you're doing compliance-wise for each of your individual connections. Now, the legend tells us what those statuses mean. The green status, indicated by the green circle, means compliant. Compliant, simply put, just means that you have met all of your client's requirements. There's nothing left that is outstanding, nothing that you need to do further for that client. You are ready to go to work. The next status we have is the yellow triangle. The yellow triangle stands for conditional. Conditional connections is set up by your client, and it does differ client to client. Some of them use this regularly. Some clients don't even use this status. So, the definition of this status does kind of differ depending on who you're working with. Generally speaking, however, this is kind of a threshold type of status. So, as an example, if your incident rate, such as your TRIR, is below the industry average, which is a good thing, then you would be in a green status. If it was at or really close to the industry average, then maybe you'd be yellow, just to say, hey, they're about to go over. And then with red, they could say, if you're over the TRIR industry average, then maybe you'd be red. That's kind of the idea of the yellow status, is to act as that threshold. Next item is the red status. Red status, also very simple, kind of like the green one, just simply means that you're not compliant. This could be something as simple as you have one open task that you still need to complete. It could be something more complicated than that, such as, maybe you had a fatality or citations in prior years that you're going to have to work with your client on. This one it really does depend on your own circumstances. We are going to talk about how to identify why your status is the way it is once we get into the network tab. So we'll kind of pick it back up on that to see why you're red. And lastly, we have the pending status. Similar to the yellow status, this one does differ from client to client. So not all clients utilize the pending status. However, those that do utilize it, generally it's an in progress type of status. So if you connect with a new client who uses this status, rather than you immediately going into a red status because you have open tasks or whatever it may be, you're put into a pending status to say, until you have completed all of your tasks, you're in progress. Once you've completed all of your open tasks, you're then sorted into one of these statuses here: green, yellow, or red. So that's the idea behind those different statuses. Each of the descriptions to the right are filters. So if I click on compliant, it's going to take me to network and just show me my compliant client connections. Moving down past my wheel, I now have my open tasks. Now, these open tasks, it will show up to 6. I will never see more than 6 open tasks at a time, just because we don't want to bog down your dashboard here. And there's no real specific order or rhyme or reason of why these are generated here. So it's not going to generate the most important ones or anything. It's just a random 6. If you want to view all of your open tasks, you can click on View All Tasks at the top left or bottom right. That will take you to your compliance tab here. If you want to be taken into the task details so you can complete that task, you can click on the name or click on the complete button to the right. Don't let the button's verbiage confuse you. It does not mean that it is complete. It simply means click here to complete. It's more of an action word. All right, moving down. Lastly, on the left, we have recent connections. Recent connections will show you up to 6 to 8. It depends on the size of your screen. If you're on a laptop, you'll probably see 6. My screen's a little bigger, so I could potentially see 8. But you'll see 6 to 8 of your recent connections here. They are in 2 rows, so you'd see a row of 3 and a row of 3 down below. And they're in chronological order as well. So top left will always be your most recent connection. Bottom right will be your oldest connection, oldest recent connection, I should say, so that you can monitor what's going on. So if you were to receive an invoice saying, congratulations on your new connection, here's the invoice for that upgrade, and you're like, I didn't make a change, you can always refer to the recent connections and you'll be able to see top left, that's the client that was added, that's the reason for that new invoice. If you click on View All Connections, this will simply take you to the Network tab. And if you click on the client's name, it'll take you to their client profile, which there's another way to access, and we're going to go over that shortly. Lastly, on the Home tab, we have the Statistics section on the right-hand side. Statistics, right now they're showing blank because I'm in a demo environment. However, on your own account, you will see statistics in one of 2 views. The default view is a line graph that shows you your 3-year growth. Or if you use this box right here, you can toggle to a tabular view so that it's in table format, a little bit easier to read and view. And this is also going to enable you to compare those 3 years. So either way, you're seeing the same info. It's just a different format. The statistics generally contains hours worked, fatalities, your incident rates, TRIR, LWCR, DART, I'm missing one. Oh, and your EMR if you're located in the US. That's the last one that'll show up in statistics. Well, then our next tab is network, but just before we make that stop, I do want to draw your attention up to the top right where it says Marketplace. Marketplace is outside of Avetta Connect, so it is a different URL. It's marketplace.avetta.com if you want to access it without the button. And this is an awesome new feature for you as our suppliers to utilize to receive discounts on stuff that you already purchased. Marketplace is entirely built into your membership, so it's not going to be an extra cost. You're not spending extra money on it. However, this is 100% for your use. You don't need to opt in or anything. It's here, ready, available for you. Those discounts include one of 4 topics. We have safety products. These are kind of physical items like your PPE or clothing, anything like that falls under safety products. Insurance has been the #1 cost saver for our suppliers. It saved some of our suppliers up to $10,000 a year on their insurance premium, so pretty hefty savings there. Safety-related services is more of online services, so things like online certifications, testing, things of that, training, things of that nature all fall under safety-related services. Lastly, much more really does contain so much more. It's got things such as car rentals and travel discounts, has software, clothing, normal clothes, by the way, not just construction clothes, all sorts of things. So you can use this for your company. If you're planning your next family vacation, also feel free to check out Marketplace. There really are some pretty cool deals in there. Best of all, Avetta doesn't get anything out of the Marketplace. This isn't something that we're trying to promote for our own benefit. This is simply for your benefit as our supplier to add just added value to your existing membership. So we appreciate you, and this is our way of showing that appreciation. Again, awesome, not part of Connect, but I did want to just bring your attention to it because it's something that not a lot of people know about. All right, moving on our left-hand side, we're going to move down to the Network tab. The Network tab is broken up into 2 locations. So we have a 2-part tab here. We have My Network and Find Clients. These are pretty polar opposites of what the intention behind these are. My Network is going to show you your existing client connections. So here we can see the people that I'm currently working with or who I'm currently connected to, along with my respective relationship with those clients. Find Clients is going to enable me to find new clients that I'm not yet connected to. So this is searching for new work, or maybe I met a new client that I need to connect with now. Whatever it may be, that's the function of the Find Clients. We're going to talk about both of them here in detail. My Network, up on the top, we're going to see our total number of connections. So here we can see I have 4, and how many of those connections are non-compliant. Won't show you any other status, just non-compliant, since generally speaking, that's going to be your primary focus, getting those non-compliant to compliant. Below the count, we have our flag status. This allows me to add filters to the clients that I'm viewing. So if I just want to see the pending ones as an example, I can unselect those and now I'm just seeing pending. It's the same thing I mentioned from home. So if I click on red, it automatically adds that red filter here and I can clear it back to default by clicking clear filters. To the right hand side, I can sort ascending or descending. I can also search for client names if I have several. This, is a pretty helpful tool at that point. And down below, we have our different client names along with their respective statuses. Now, with the client names themselves, we can click on the client's name. So click on AgriBuilder, and that takes me to what we call the client profile. The client profile, I would argue, is the single most important location within your account as a supplier. And the reason behind that is from here, you can really dig in deep to your compliance relationship with that client that you're viewing. This is broken up into 4 tabs down here, 5 tabs down at the bottom. We again see our overall status on the top left. And over here, we can see how many completed and not completed tasks I have for AgriBuilder specifically, so that I know, that's how much work I've got going until I can get this to a green status. Now, within these different 5 tabs, the About tab is our first, and it's really the most basic. This simply gives us a really brief overview of who the company is. If this client has provided a description, we'll see that here. This generally can be like a mission statement, industries they work in, values, whatever they've decided to put there, they can. Address will show you a singular headquarters address. So it is possible they have multiple locations, not just the one. And then lastly is applied tags. Applied tags differs from client to client. Every client uses it a little bit different. Some clients don't use it at all. But the idea behind this is mostly just categorization. Generally speaking, they use it internally, so it's not something that you'll need to worry about a whole lot. Occasionally, some clients will use it for insurance requirements. So if you are ever looking at a client's insurance requirements and it says, group 1, group 2, group 3, or tier 1, 2, 3, just know that that's probably a tag, and you can come reference what tag you fall under within your client profile for that respective client. Compliance is pretty easy. This section just shows you all of the tasks that your client requires of you, and it's broken into not completed and completed tasks. So just like what we saw up here. So here we can see this is my not completed section, all the items that I still need to work on, and my completed section, I can still reference these, but there's no more action that I need to take on those. Files will be for reference files that your client has uploaded. So if your client's uploaded, let's say their insurance requirements or drug and alcohol policy they want you to agree to, or your MSA, all of that information can be found under the Files tab. So if you're ever going through pre-qualification and find a file that's referenced and you don't know what that file is or where to find it, this is probably your best bet, is this file section here. Flag details is that page that I was telling you about, is the single most important page of really all of Connect. And that's because this tells me the why behind my overall compliance status. So here I can see I'm non-compliant. Great. That doesn't mean a whole lot to me other than there's something that I still need to resolve. Now, flag details tells me what that thing to resolve is. So from here, we can go down to the bottom. We can see we've got a bunch of green statuses. We have a yellow one and a bunch of red ones. Your overall status will always reflect the worst case scenario from your flag details. So worst case scenario in this case is red, because that's always going to be the worst case. That's why I have an overall non-compliant. If I were to resolve all of these red ones, my next would be yellow. And once I resolve yellow and all the red, I would then default to green, which is where I want to be. If I'm unsure of what this status means, or if I want a shortcut to get to the item it's asking me to complete, you can click on the message, and it's going to show you the task that it relates to. If you click on the task's name, it takes you to the task details. Likewise, if it is about a specific question within a specific task, such as this, not only does it tell us the task name, but it also tells us what question is being referenced in that message. So really, really helpful tool. Highly recommend you use this. It's probably the quickest way for you to get compliant, because you can work on it all directly from this page. One last thing I want to mention, you may have noticed, this one has an exclamation point in it. That means that your client has given you an exception. So on this one, maybe I wasn't compliant, but I was like, well, I'm in Texas, so I don't need workers' comp. It's not required here. So they force it to a green status. On the right, I can see when the expiration for that is. All right, and lastly, we have the history tab. History gives me a pre-qualification historical change log, essentially, of my relationship with AgriBuilder. So here we can see status changes of my tasks. So this one went to a pending as of this date. We can see flag changes, and we can also see connection changes. There's one more I'm looking for. Here we go. And communications. So any communications that were sent to you as a supplier, you can see those from here. If you click on them, it'll open those up. It'll even show you who it was sent to here on the left. And if it bounced back, meaning that we've got a bad email address, it will say bounced instead of sent. That way you know that not everyone received it. That's really it for the client profile. Not a whole lot to it, but it really is a super important and powerful page. Then moving on, we're going to talk about our Find Clients tab. Find Clients, far simpler than My Network. There's really not a whole lot to this tab. But again, this is the section where I can find new client connections. So I met someone and they said, hey, connect with me on Avetta, or I am just looking for some new work and would like to connect with a company that's in my area. I can do either from this page. Now from here, there are three main ways that you can find client connections. The first is probably the most common, which is going to be finding by name. So from here, if I type Kexmon, that's going to pull up all Kexmon sites, regardless of their location on the map over here on the right. So you can see even Argentina and Australia on here, even though I'm looking at Orem, Utah. So that's the first way. Let me clear that out real quick. The second way is using the search map function. So if I type Orem, Utah as an example, it's going to zoom me into Orem. I'm going to be able to see all clients that are located in this area on my map. And my right-hand side is going to update according to who is being shown on my map. The last option is to drag and drop. Now, just quick disclaimer here. I'll drag and drop over here to Nebraska. Nothing showing here because I'm in the training environment. They are all defaulted to our headquarters office in Orem. That's why it shows 200 in Orem and nowhere else. But I promise in the normal environment, we have plenty of clients everywhere else. So here, if I were looking at Nebraska and Iowa, this list would update to reflect what's being shown on my map. Now, real quick, last function here. When I do find a client that I want to connect with, let's say Acrylic Cypress is the one that I was looking for. They sound great. I'm going to go ahead and click connect. It will remind you and ask you if you're sure you want to make that connection, because you as a supplier are billed by client connection. So if you have 3 connections and you move up to 4, you're going to be paying extra each year on your annual membership, and you will receive an additional invoice. So this does remind you just in case you forget. That way you're not surprised if your billing does go up. So keep that in mind though. Clicking connect, it'll give you that reminder. And then if you say yes, it'll shoot you an invoice within the next day or so. Okay, that's it for the network tab. The compliance tab is where we go to complete tasks. That is the only thing that you are going to find in compliance is tasks. From here, it is broken into 3 tabs. You're not going to see not applicable. That's just for me. Sites is the first one. Sites is broken up by client site. So here, just like we saw from network where we showed the 4 clients, compliance does the exact same thing. When I click on the client's name from sites, it drops down all tasks that are required by them, regardless of their status. So from our client profile, where we saw it broken, not completed, and completed, here it doesn't do that. It just kind of jumbles it all together. We have please complete. These ones are already completed. It's just all here mushed together. There are some filters you can utilize across the top. If there's a specific form that you're looking for, you can use form name here on the right-hand side, and you can search by keyword for finding those forms. But that's what it's available to you here. Now, if I want to view the details of one of these tasks, or I need to complete them, because it says please complete, I can click on the name or click on complete. Either way, it's going to do the same thing. And it takes me into the details of that task itself. Now, on the top left, we see what percentage I am in progress, and this gray bar is my loading bar. So as I start answering questions, it's going to load the green all the way to the end. This is going to load up to 100%. And my categories will also show me the percentage of completion so that I know how far I am, or if I'm at 99%, I can check all my categories and see which one's not at 100% yet. Each of the required fields are indicated by a red asterisk. So once those are filled out, this naturally will be at 100%. And on the top right, we have what's called show status updates, where we can see, the date that it was submitted and by whom, or the date that it was approved by Avetta, or if something was kicked back, let's say, you meant to upload your OSHA logs, but you accidentally uploaded a picture of your son's birthday cake. We've definitely had that before. If we send those back to you and say, hey, you uploaded the wrong file, you'll be able to see those comments here under the status updates so that you can, understand what it is needs to be fixed before you submit it again. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, is the submit button on the top right-hand side. The submit button is, it will flash at you once you reach 100%. It's right there for you, and it must be pressed once you get to 100% complete. As silly and obvious as that sounds, it is one of the most common questions that we receive in our call center is, hey, I got this to 100%. It says it's complete. Why haven't you reviewed it yet? And the simple answer has been they forgot to click submit. So don't forget to click submit. It's an important step in your pre-qualification process. All right, we'll go ahead and click back. That's it for the sites tab. We're going to move on to tasks. Tasks does not break it down by client site, but this is simply an aggregate of all of the items to do. So this is going to be your laundry list of to-do items as it relates to open tasks. On the top, we can see the number of open tasks. So here we can see there's 43 open tasks. And of course, those are all listed down right here. If a task is required for multiple clients, you can hover over the client's name. Let's see if we can find one that'll do it. And that will show you which clients are requiring it rather than just the single client. No, it looks like all of these are just specific to one. It's all right. That little box that shows up, it will separate each of the required clients by a comma. It will only show one client here until you hover. From here, you can sort, you can filter, and you can search for specific forms if that's something that you need to do. And lastly, we have the archive tab. Archive houses our expired forms. So insurance, as an example, generally expires on an annual basis at the expiration of our policy. Those insurance forms are not deleted. They still are around, but they're going to be put in the archive tab. So you're not going to be flagged on them. They're not going to be taken into consideration for your pre-qualification process, but they are still visible to you and your client in case you ever need to reference, what happened in a prior year. Again, not applicable. You're not going to see that, so you don't need to worry about that tab. Moving on to insurance then. Insurance is set up pretty similar to compliance, and to be honest, there's only really a couple minor differences between these two tabs. The major and probably most obvious one is insurance only houses insurance tasks. We're not going to see PQFs or questionnaires. We're only going to see insurance policies that need to be completed. Now, from insurance, here we can see it's broken into two tabs. Sites, just like compliance was. Remember, we had sites, we had the 4 clients. Insurance, sites, we have our 4 clients. If I click on the client's name, it's going to drop down those requirements. If I click on the requirement's name, I'll be taken to the details so that I complete it. So all of that is the exact same as what we just saw from compliance. Now, the major differences between insurance and compliance is from compliance, let's say I have 5 clients that require the same questionnaire be completed. If that's the case, I complete it a singular time once, and it's done for all 5 clients. I don't need to complete it 5 times. That's one of the awesome benefits of being able to do pre-qualification this way as opposed to manually, as you may have experienced in the past. Now, the difference with insurance is because insurance requirements can differ so drastically from client to client, such as the verbiage that is required on the document, the certificate holder that they want listed, the endorsements that they need, the limits that are required, all of those can change very drastically from client to client because they all work in different industries generally. That being said, if all 5 of your clients require general liability, you do have to complete the general liability task 5 individual times. We've created some shortcuts to help you with that process because we know it's a little monotonous. However, that it is kind of what it is, just because the requirements differ so drastically. Now, on this line where we see the client's name, to the right, we can click View Requirements, and that will show me what the requirements are for that client specifically. Some clients add additional documents to this, so you might see some document downloads underneath their name here, things like sample COIs or more detailed requirements, whatever it may be, those can be found there. Clicking the drop-down caret. On the left, we see those policies that are requested, and as I mentioned, you do have to complete one per client. However, once you've completed one and it has another, let's say the auto liability for AgriBuilder, I fill out all these details, and there's another auto liability for a different policy. Down at the bottom, there will be one called Import Answers. That way you can import those answers into another policy so you don't need to retype them all out every single time. So that's one of the shortcuts we put in here so you don't have to do the data entry over and over again. On the right-hand side, we have the attached certificates. So here we can see these 3 certificates have been attached. If I need to remove one, I can click Unassign over here on the right. It's going to remove that from my list. And if I need to add a certificate, I can click Choose here. I can select the checkbox and click Apply. That'll put it back on here. Or I can click Upload a new certificate, and that will allow me to browse my computer for a certificate that I want uploaded. Now, one really quick word of caution. There is a current error that we are very well aware of. We're working on getting it fixed. Where sometimes when you upload a new certificate from your computer, it doesn't show up under your attached certificates immediately. It is a very simple workaround for now while we're fixing it. But if that does happen to you, just click on Choose again. It will show up under your existing certificates, and then you just do that same process. Click the checkbox, click Apply, and it will show up under your attached certificates. Again, we're aware of it. We're working on it right now to try and get that resolved, and it doesn't happen every time. So if it does happen to you, you now know how to fix it at least. The next tab within insurance is certificates. To be 100% honest with you, you probably won't reference this tab very often, if at all. This tab simply houses all of your historical certificates of insurance. So if you've uploaded a certificate last week, you're going to see it here. If you uploaded a certificate 5 years ago, you're also going to be able to see it here. So it can be helpful if you need to reference previous certificates and how those were worded to get them approved. But that's really all that it is. There's not a whole lot to it there. Moving on to files then. Files is the easiest thing that we're going to talk about today. Files simply consolidates all the files you've uploaded through your pre-qualification process into one location. So if I uploaded it, an OSHA log to my annual update and a safety manual to my PQF and some insurance certificates in my insurance tab, all of those are consolidated to this one location for you to reference and also for your clients. Your clients have access to your files as well. That being said, however, I highly recommend that you use a proper naming convention when it comes to your files. So prior to uploading the file into the system, make sure it has an appropriate name that makes sense. If it says table 123, no one's going to really know what that table 123 means. So try and give them a unique name specific to what they are so that it makes this file section a little bit more useful. But that is literally it. That is all that there is to files. There's nothing more to know. Again, I mentioned I was going to talk about support last. So we're going to move up to our right-hand side, Clicking on our avatar icon, this allows me to access my profile, the billing info, terms and conditions, and here I can see my Avetta ID number. If you ever call support or contact support, you will want to have the ID number on hand. It just makes things a lot easier and faster for you and for the rep that's helping you. Now, I'm not going to talk about terms and conditions, though that's just for reference. So if you need to reference it, you can click there. But we are going to talk about my profile and billing info, starting with my profile. My profile is basically your company's resume for your clients. So your clients can view a general overview of what your company is all about. So from here, we have our basic contact details up here. If I have a DBA, I'll be able to see the DBA here. Moving down, we have my company description. Company description is basically just going to be whatever I decide I want my clients to see. It's their first impression. So it could be something as simple as, here are the industries we work in. It could be your mission statement, your values, whatever you decide you want to put there, you are welcome to put in that description. Certificates and licenses. These are not going to be required fields. So the certificates and licenses, you don't have to have them. You don't have to upload things here. It's not going to affect your qualification process. However, this is a great way for you to kind of show off your stuff to your clients and say, look how qualified I am for the job that you are looking for. With this section as well, we do offer an Avetta membership certificate. So if your client wants proof that you're a part of Avetta, you can download that membership certificate. It does not tell you what your compliance status is. It simply says you joined Avetta network on this date. With suppliers that are located in the UK, if any of you are in the UK and you know what an SSIP is, you will also be able to download your SSIP certificate from here. Office locations and service areas. This section is not part of your pre-qualification process, but is so important that you fill out comprehensively. I highly, highly recommend you have all of your offices filled out, all of your service areas filled out, because it will benefit you quite greatly. Office locations is going to be your physical address. So where is your physical office located? It's going to be, like I said, an address. Service areas is more of a broad term. So this is going to be, I work 100 miles outside of Sacramento. So any direction, 100 miles, I'm willing to drive that far to perform work. So that's all service area is. Again, highly recommend those are updated. If you remember from our network tab, when we were looking at find clients via this map, clients have a similar feature for finding suppliers. So if they're looking for a supplier in their area and you have an office there, but you didn't update it on your office locations and service areas, you're not going to have that potential for the clients to reach out to you for work. So you're missing out on work if you don't have that updated. Really, really good thing to have updated. Your supplier settings are set up during your registration process. They generally don't change a whole lot. If there is something there that you identify and you're like, whoa, that doesn't seem right, please feel free to contact our support center, and they are more than willing and happy to help you with those settings. You can contact them using chat. So if you click on chat, it'll let you select the language you want to chat in, or you can click on phone. It'll show you our different regional phone numbers so that you can contact the correct one. Trades. Trades identifies the type of work that you perform. This can be, you really can have as many as you want. I've seen suppliers with hundreds of these trades applied to their account, and I've seen some with just one applied. It's up to you. This one, however, I do recommend, just like with office locations, that you make sure that it's pretty comprehensive. You do have to have at least one trade. You can only have one that is indicated as primary. So if I change this to primary, this one goes away. And the trades, just like the office locations and service areas, enable you to find additional work. So again, going back to our find clients, clients have the same feature, but they have one extra filter that shows right here where they can filter by trade. So if I am a client and I want to find electricians in Orem, I can filter to electrician located in Orem. So the more trades you've selected, the more likely you are to show up in those searches. You can think of kind of like LinkedIn. The more skills that you've applied to your LinkedIn account, the more likely you are to show up in recruiter searches. Same exact idea. Users. Users are all of the users on your account. Now, unless you are an admin, you will not be able to edit other users, and you'll have limited access to their information. But if you're an admin user, clicking on the user's name will pop out this window to the right. So click on Crystal here. We see that change. We can see their username. If they forgot it, we can give that to them. We can see their contact details and update that if necessary. Subscriptions are going to be events that will trigger an email notification. So these are really important to make sure they're up to date. If you're receiving too many emails, feel free to come here and change those. If you're not receiving any emails, you probably have your subscriptions turned off. And lastly, permissions. Permissions is going to show me all the permissions that are added to an individual user. So here we can see Crystal is just added as the admin permission. So she's not going to do anything other than administrative work. If we look at Tyler, he doesn't have any permissions. That's great. Crystal. There are 3 other sets of permissions. We have the billing, safety, and insurance. Billing gives them access to the billing info, which is the section we're going to talk about next. And we have several suppliers who set up a profile that just has the billing permissions so that they can give that to their accounts payable department. Accounts payable doesn't have to worry about asking you for the invoice. You don't have to worry about logging in to download and find those. They can log in, make the payments, access the invoices all pretty easily. I'm going to talk about safety last. Insurance, same type of idea with billing. This is going to give them access to the insurance tab so that they can do anything insurance related. And we have a lot of suppliers who give their brokers an insurance only user so that the broker can log in, they can see what the requirements are, they can upload the COIs. They are the insurance masters, so not having to be the middleman between Avetta and your insurance broker really is an awesome advantage. So also a very good use case. Safety group encompasses everything that wasn't talked about already. So they're going to be able to do everything in compliance. They're not going to be able to add new suppliers. That's an admin thing. All of those types of things there. So those are your different groups available to you within the permissions. And that's really it for a company and user profile. Billing info is our last specific area that we're going to talk about. You can access billing info by clicking on the button from My Profile. This is the only place you'll see that. Or clicking on your avatar and going to billing info. Billing info, it's going to look like any other billing page that you've ever dealt with anyone else. It's really not going to be anything different than what you've seen before. But some of the basic features we have up on the top left, we can see our payment info. I'm in the demo environment, so this looks a little different than it will for you. But here we can see our payment info along with the renewal date, which will show up right below edit payment info. That just tells me when my annual membership is due each year. Edit payment info, if I click on this, I'm going to be able to see the last 4 digits of the account number or credit card number that's on file so that I can confirm it's the right payment info before processing, or I can update that information to be the correct one. On the top right, we have my current balance. If it's more than $0, I'll also see a pay button available right here. My product subscriptions just tells me which products of Avetta I'm paying for. They are based on your client's request, so your client determines which products are required for their pre-qualification, and that's why those will show up here. So it's not something you opted into. Don't panic. You won't be able to change those. And then lastly is your transaction history. This is where all of your invoices are listed. You can see payments, refunds, credits that have been applied to your account. All of that's available under transaction history. The invoice number shows right about here under the transaction history. If you click on that, it will download a PDF of your invoice so that you can share internally. And that does have our wire transfer information on it, along with our billing addresses if you want to send a check. So it does have all that info on there on the second page. And that's really it. Billing is pretty easy. It's not like anything you haven't seen before. Well, we're going to talk about support then, just very last. Support has 2 levels. So if we click on support, our first level pops up from the right, and these are smart walkthroughs. So if I am like, you know what, I know Tyler talked about the compliance menu, but I don't remember what it was, I can click on the compliance menu overview. It's going to tell me a little bit about that tab, and if I click on it, it's going to walk me through all of the individual navigation steps within the compliance menu. So super helpful tool. If you forget anything we talked about today, don't forget this because it's going to give you a lot of really good help there. The second level of support is the Help Center. You can access it by doing what I just did or by going to help.avetta.com. You're going to select Supplier User. And from here on the top, we have our search bar, so you can search for help articles. One help article that I highly recommend is one called Getting Started. Enter. And there's one called Getting Started Supplier. This article we just put together, and it has a lot of really good information in there. So we have information on the quick start guides that you can download to access. We have FAQs from our newest users so that you can, again, get acclimated to the new product, along with things on just who is Avetta, what do we do, what's the purpose of Avetta, how do I contact customer support. All of that's here in the Getting Started article. Really recommend you taking a look at it if you haven't already. If you don't know specifically what you're searching for and just want to browse by topic, we do have topics available down here that you can look at. And lastly, on the top right, we have the training tab. The training tab allows you to schedule more trainings so that you can sign up for, Connect was what we just did. We also offer trainings on worker management. If your client's using that, we will definitely walk you through that as well, through those trainings. And down below, you can do the different training documents, quick start guides, things like that. And we also have training videos that are available if you prefer it in video format instead of in text format. But that's really it. That is all that we have for our Connect session today. I hope that this was helpful. I hope you feel a little bit more comfortable with the platform and that you got something out of this today. And I look forward to seeing you in future classes. Good luck with the rest of your day. Hope that you're staying safe and have a wonderful rest of your week.